Good day from Las Vegas. It is gamblersworld.net. I'm your host, Chip Chirimbes, Las Vegas Hilton World Champion, and my partner today in crime, Week 8 in NCAA football action, Paul Bovi with a preview. Paul, how was the college action last Saturday?
College action was excellent. I forgot my record. I know I was well above 500. I think I was 3-1, maybe 4-1, something like that. But yeah, Texas was a huge play.
That was your big one.
Yeah, they annihilated Oklahoma. It started out a little bit sluggish, Tip. Actually, Oklahoma got the first points on the board, kicked the field goal, started to get a little nervous, but eventually Texas just took a stronghold on the game and pulled away, and Oklahoma couldn't muster any offense, and that's what we said.
Did you factor in the injury report on this game? Wasn't there a number of receivers down from Oklahoma that weren't going into this game? Yes. I know you had Texas as your big play on Saturday.
Yes, the injuries to Oklahoma's receivers, that would only enhance the chance that Oklahoma wasn't going to score points. And that's exactly what came to fruition. They just couldn't move the football. You go down the schedule. Yeah, they scored 51 against Temple, but that was courtesy of 6 Owl turnovers. They only had 378 yards of offense against a very weak defense. And you go down the schedule, they really didn't do much against anybody. And they were very fortunate along the way. And that's what you have to look at. You can't just look at records. You can't just look at final scores. You have to peel back the onion, and you have to find out why. And they went into that game, and it was a lofty spread at 14. You had a lot of people taking Oklahoma because of that 14-point, 15-point.
Yeah.
And it actually went up to 17 on game day.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, Oklahoma, these two teams play close. Last year, 34-30 Oklahoma with Dylan Gabriel as the quarterback for the Sooners. But, it was just David against Goliath.
Okay, thank you. That was Paul Bovi, Las Vegas professional sports gambler. Paulie, and everyone out there, we're going to analyze a number of games, the high-profile games, and just give you a little background on how our insights view these games. And then, of course, we'll both post one free winner for you out there. Paulie, I want to go stay with Oklahoma. They come up small favorite against South Carolina. Now, South Carolina has played tough. They just come off a 2-point loss against Alabama. Is South Carolina good enough to beat this Oklahoma team, particularly the way you said they're nursing so many injuries?
I'm not going to get off this train. Mm-hmm. This line opened up at 3. It's now down to 1. South Carolina's a 1-point dog. They were 3 on the open. I'm sorry I did not take it, but I think South Carolina, off a very tough loss to Alabama, is going to rebound, take this game, and beat down the Oklahoma Sooners, who still come in with no offense.
None.
To speak of. And
125th, Paulie. And they're averaging 280 yards a game. They're not even averaging 300 yards a game offensively. That's incredibly terrible.
Incredibly terrible.
Yes.
And they're going to have to show me something to get my support financially. So I'm going to go with South Carolina to get the win.
Okay, I think it's a tough spot, and I'm wondering this number here. I thought that the public and for the most part would be drawn toward the Gamecocks here because of Oklahoma's performance and because of they were miserable against Tennessee. They beat Auburn by only getting 11 first downs. That was my bad beat sourpuss game of the week that week. And thankfully we've won since then with our Megabuck plays. All right, Paulie, and everyone out there, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe, and you'll be able to get our college preview each and every week. Chip Chirimbes here, and of course Paul Bovi. Paulie, now there's a big one in the SEC, and there's something that bothers me about this game, and I'm talking about Alabama at Tennessee, and Alabama's 16-1 in the last 17 meetings straight up, and Tennessee's 4th in the nation defense, allowing less than 250 yards a game. Great matchup. They both have one loss, and I have something to say about that, but I'll let you speak on it first.
I'm going with the Tide here. Tennessee doesn't have any offense. They came into the year, high hopes for Nico. He was supposed to compete for the Heisman Trophy. It's just not there. They lost their best tackler also, Peely. which is going to hurt them. Yeah, they've been good in defense. I can't dispute that. But they were all out to beat Florida last week. The Gators could have actually beat them, but they came up short, and it went the way of the Volunteers. So I'm going to look for the Tide. They have the best player on the field, in my opinion, in Milroe, and I'm going to look for Alabama to get the win here.
And you're talking about the Alabama quarterback who's come a long way since his opening last year and the beginning of the season. He really has. Alabama just gets by South Carolina. They lost to Vanderbilt. But what bothers me about this, and this is what I wanted to talk about really, there's no urgency here anymore. And when you have 12 teams that are making the playoffs, Paulie, and it's not, say, 4 or 8, there's going to be a 3-loss team going to get involved because of the SEC. They're so competitive. And either one of these teams can lose and still win out and get in there. So that urgency where it's a must win for both sides, because getting a second loss at this point, if they're only taking 4 teams or 8 teams for the championships, would be, it'd be daunting if they were to lose here. And I was wondering, do you see it the same way, where it doesn't really have that much of an impact?
Well, I don't exactly look at it like the NBA, where you can finish as an 8 seed and just basically hurdle the 1 seed by just stealing a home court win. But I can see your point. Have I factored that into my handicapping? In all honesty, no, I haven't. Yeah. Because I have to feel that both of these teams desperately want to win. They've had some disappointing losses, notably Alabama to Vanderbilt, and I'm sure that's stuck in their craw here. So I don't factor that in, but that is actually a good point. Maybe I should take a look at that.
There's a much improved Vanderbilt, I must say. The Commodores got new coaching and a whole new system in there, and they're doing well. All right, now the big daddy of them all. And by the way, don't be afraid to push that like button out there, or to follow and track us with our premier plays at gamblersworld.net. Georgia at Texas. This is the big one, of course. In the line, I've seen shoot up to 4.5 in places already. And Georgia, after an opening week win over Clemson, where they annihilated them, was a 34-3 was the final on that one. Gone 0-for-5 against the number, while Texas has been cruising. They're 6-0, 5-1 against the number. But, Paul, the competition that the Longhorns have played is not quite of the level that we're used to seeing in the SEC as of yet. And their schedule is going to get tougher down the line. The best offense they played was Michigan's. And you want to tell me about Michigan's passing offense, Paulie?
Yeah, well, Michigan's passing offense is 2 from the bottom in all of college football. So you look at Georgia, and when they took on Alabama, Milroe, who we just referred to, quarterback, 27-33 for 374 yards. So I don't think that's so much of an aberration that we can say that Georgia has a stout defense that can't be penetrated. I think they can. So I'm going to tell you where I landed here. I played the over in the game. I just could see some points because, as you pointed out, Texas, the competition that Texas has taken on, and last week was Oklahoma, and you go down the list, and UTSA and Colorado State, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. These teams don't have much of an offense. So I think you're going to see some points here, and I think you have to not dismiss completely the defensive statistics, but you have to take a further look and say, what is the caliber of competition that they've played where they've compiled these stats?
I agree with you. And, looking at the Georgia schedule, Kentucky, Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi State, Texas has had UL Monroe, Texas San Antonio, and Colorado State, and they really whooped up on those teams. And they've been favored this year, Paulie, by 17, 37, 42, 36, and 35 points. And now they come up 3.5, 4. So, Georgia, we saw them get annihilated by the Crimson Tide earlier in the year when Alabama just ran roughshod over them, and then they made their big comeback, and then we're disappointed by the big play the Crimson Tide pulled off. That freshman is incredible for Alabama, by the way. I just, the number is so low here. I'm really concerned about it. But from what we've seen, if you're going to judge these two teams by what we've seen, by the eye test, the Bulldogs just don't make it there. They just don't. They haven't been impressive. They haven't had explosiveness. And, their defense is 28th. Usually it's much stronger than that, Paul. You're giving up 313 yards. And their offense is, 450 yards is fine. I mean, that's pretty good. But they just haven't shown, or we haven't seen it. I'm wondering, do they come here and bring it to play against the Longhorns at Texas? I'm really not too sure myself on which way to go with this. But that's Georgia and Texas. You got Alabama and Tennessee. And, of course, we did South Carolina and Oklahoma. And before we close, Paulie, is there any one particular game you'd like to be able to give to the viewers out there that as a free play from the show?
Sure. This is an under-the-radar game. I played it. Arkansas State, Southern Mississippi, over. The Red Wolves of Arkansas State have a very competent quarterback in Rayner, and then on the other side, it's Rodemaker. But the key is the defense. Arkansas State, the last 3 games, have given up 52, 41, and 16 points. I believe the 52 was to Iowa State. The 41 was to Texas State, and the 16 was to Southern Alabama. But it's a little deceptive because Gio Lopez, the quarterback, doesn't have much experience, threw for 292 yards, and they ran for a $160. South Alabama did. So they should have put more points on the board, but a drive ended on downs, and there was a missed field goal, I believe. And on the other side, Southern Mississippi has just been horrendous on defense. So you have 2 teams, and I played something like this last week. I played Ball State Kent over, not on the strength of the offenses, but more so because both defenses were really bad. So I'm going to take it. It's a 55 number is where I got it, and I think these teams get into the 60s, and you'll see some points here.
All right. Thank you from Paul Bovi. And remember to follow the ByLinks professional sports player in Las Vegas. Paulie, thank you very much for that. The game I was looking at with some interest, and I wouldn't use it as a regular play because Central Florida has been so bad this year, Paulie. They just haven't played well. And now they're playing Iowa State, who's undefeated and has had a really great run. And Iowa State is, I believe, an inflated favorite here. They're double digits, around 2 touchdowns virtually. And I think that Central Florida is going to come and be able to stay with them for a while because the Cyclones and all other teams, Paul, you know what happens. I mean, you could only maintain that crescendo for a certain period of time, and you have to have a lull or a down day here or there. And being a such a strong, heavy favorite, I'm going to play against Iowa State. So I am Chip Chirimbes, and I have games for you this weekend at gamblersworld.net. And Paul, of course, is another big-time winner out there, and you can log on and follow the ByLinks and become a Paul Bovi or Chip Chirimbes winner. This is from gamblersworld.net, College Preview Week 8. We'll be back again next week, so don't forget to push the like button and subscribe, and make sure you become a winner with gamblersworld.net. Good luck, everyone.